And I don't know about you, but I definitely think of Fidelity Investments as one of the funniest companies I have gotten an email from. But the guy who is probably one of the funniest people I've talked to is Elliott Curry, who is their senior marketing manager. And I am super excited to bring it up here about how we can inject a little humor and personality in our email marketing. So Elliott, come on up.
Awesome. What up, everybody? How y'all doing? Yeah. So I have this thing planned, but let me deviate. What is the one thing that we've seen with every presenter today? Okay.
Yeah. Or you can take it with you.
All right, yeah, maybe I'll take it with me. What is the one thing that we've seen with every presenter?
They're awesome.
Awesome, that's one. That's one. Everybody has told a joke. Every single person that's gotten up here today has injected one piece of humor, some better than others, right? But that's what everybody's done, and I find that fascinating and telling. So first, let me give a disclaimer. I'm Elliott Curry. I work for Fidelity Investments, been there about 2 years. What I say today is from Elliott Curry, not Fidelity Investments, right? Just want to be very clear. So I have over 15 years of digital marketing experience, and much of my experience has been in the content marketing field, right? At Fidelity today, I primarily work in the B2B space. So think about plan sponsors of retirement plans, advisors, the most engaging stuff you could ever imagine. That's what I do. And my job is to engage them and help Fidelity acquire new business. So I'm marketing acquisition. Before Fidelity, I was at Voya Financial in a very similar capacity, working in the B2B space. And before that, I worked for a local marketing agency called Local Marketing, Inc. It was in Atlanta. Now, no matter where I've been, no matter what I've been doing, I've always tried to stay true to one thing, and that's not to be boring. That's different, right? Because in B2B marketing, we often focus on that analytical aspect, and more so also in the consumer space. But this perspective about me not being boring was ingrained in me at a very young age. And to really understand my commitment to not being boring, we got to go back in time. Let's go back circa 1998. I was 16 years old, that handsome, plump fellow right there. I was terrorizing classrooms at the time, being a smart aleck. And I was 16, grew up in a small northwest Florida town. So think about Florida, the palm trees, all of that great stuff. Now think about South Georgia, even though it's in Florida, that's where I grew up. Absolutely rural community. And at the time, I decided that I wanted to run for senior beta district vice president. Why? Well, I had become discontent with the elections process, whatever, not touching that. But I had become discontent with the senior beta elections process. Every single time, these overachieving kids would get up, including myself, but these overachieving kids would walk up to the stage wearing black and blue suits, and they would stand there and rattle off their qualifications. It was absolutely boring, right? I saw an opportunity. And I said, you know what? I'm going to run for district vice president. So I immediately knew 3 things. 1, no blue or black suits on this guy. Clearly, my style comes through, and I like to take chances with it, right? I also knew that I would stand out. I would be memorable. People would know my name. And I would not be boring. So my commitment to not being boring started at home from what I had on. Instead of the blue or black suit, I showed up to this thing in this purple suit that immediately caught everybody's attention. I was the talk of the election. Now, granted, there were some people who started singing Barney, but that's a personal problem because there'll always be naysayers. But I was committed to what I was doing. Nonetheless, I captivated the audience. Uh-oh. Yeah. How do you go back? Yeah, there we go. Nonetheless, I captivated the audience with everything that I had to say. Most importantly, I didn't just get up there and rattle off my qualifications. I wrapped everything that I had to say, which were solutions to the common problems that we were having for our district, in humor and wit. I turned a boring senior beta election into an exciting event that ended, all right now, with a standing ovation, right? Needless to say, I won. Today, I think, and this is a side note, I think our customers' inbox is a lot like senior beta elections. You got brands clamoring for attention, everybody's saying similar or the same thing, and we, as email marketers, must find a way to stand out. I think the key for me over my career has been to use more emotive and humorous elements. So what I'm going to do today is talk to you about some of my processes, some of the things I use, some of the things I intend on using, and some of the things that I hope to use one day. And by using this formula, I've experienced, of course, more clicks, more engagement, more customer loyalty, and is that not relevant, right? And more sales. So let's get started. No matter who you are, what you do, what you drive, how much you have, where you live, everyone has emotions, right? We feel pride when we think about our firstborn child. We feel sad when we think about the loss of a loved one. We feel appreciation whenever we think about a customer leaving positive feedback. We feel excitement whenever Florida State University scores a touchdown. And then we feel disgust whenever somebody says, "Go Gators." Yeah, it's okay. We all feel it. Nonetheless, your customers are no different, and their emotions play an overwhelming role in their purchasing decisions. Forrester suggests that 85% of consumers buy from companies in which they have a strong emotional connection. Not only that, they'll spend more money. Emotional loyalty is essential in building long-term brand loyalty. Tapping into your customers' emotions can be a catapult for more effective email marketing. So, why humor? Of all of the emotions and emotional responses, humor is my favorite, right? And I think this statement really summarizes why. People laugh because their emotions have greater inertia and persistence than their thoughts. What does this mean? This means that whenever I receive a humorous email, it immediately distracts me for whatever seconds from what I'm doing, whether it's my son crying or my daughter, they're fighting. I get that momentary reprieve. And I think that is the power of humor. You see, it's a natural elixir that can endear your brand in the hearts and minds of customers. Instead of customers receiving another email, customers can be happy, excited even, to open the email and find the creative and witty ways you've wrapped your message in humor and wit. It's important to understand, however, that humor is not the message. It's simply the key that opens the door to a more receptive mind. All right, so these three key stats tell a story, right? 72% of consumers will choose a funny or humorous brand over the competition. 90% of consumers are more likely to remember a funny or humorous brand over the competition. And 100% of people enjoy laughing. Right, okay. So when we laugh, it does something magical. It increases the endorphins, our body's natural response to stress. It can help alleviate pain and boost mood. By aligning any brand with this positive emotion, we can open the door to many benefits. And I'll just run through these, right? One, capture attention. It's a great way to stand out in the email inbox, a crowded space. A quick, witty subject line could be the perfect trick for your customer to open the email. Make you and the brand more memorable. Humor boasts the unmatched ability to stand out in people's mind. It humanizes the brand. You know, a lot of sales people here this weekend, right? And it's key because as a B2B mid-decision maker, we don't buy from companies, we buy from people. So the sooner you can use email to humanize your brand, the better results. It can make your brand more approachable. Humor shows your personality, creativity, and relatability while making the brand more approachable. And build relationships. Hold on a second. I got a little cotton mouth here. I was talking. All right. Build relationships, like I was saying. All right. So all these great things about humor, we all agree, right? Don't we agree that humor is great? It works. Why aren't more brands using it? I think there are two key reasons. One, it ain't easy. It's not easy to tell a joke. It's not easy to get a smile. And actually hitting the humor mark right requires a lot of time, patience, and trial. However, I think the number one reason most brands sort of steer clear of humor is because it can be scary. And if you miss, the penalties can be steep. I don't have to go through a list of companies that missed the mark. However, we'll cover both points, but I want to start with the second point about misses. All right, y'all, this is awesome. So this is the heavens opening up on me and being like, Elliott, here you go. So let's talk about what I'm not suggesting. Well, first of all, let's talk about two things. One, humor is not appropriate for every email. I get it. That's perfectly fine. You have to use your discretion. And two, not all humor is good humor. You can't see that. That's fine. So the other day, I'm at work at Fidelity, and I'm scrolling through my inbox, and I see this subject line. This thing stops me dead in my tracks. This is a B2B email from a marketing agency, and I need some help here. So I'm going to ask Chelsea to take a read of that subject line for me. Yes, please. Please read it out loud.
How to market to people literally about to take a shit.
That's exactly what it said. That's exactly what it said. It blew me away, right? Personally, it was great. I loved it. I shared it with my colleagues and everything. However, this type of humor, unfortunately, it's just not appropriate. And this is dangerous. It worked for me, but it can place your brand on the brinks of trouble by doing this, so I just avoid it. In either case, this was an email for a marketing agency giving a brief case study on dude wipes. Everybody knows what dude wipes are? Yeah, so it was appropriate, right? It was topical, but I think it was just too far. I would not do that, and I'm a risk taker. All right, so let's check out a few ways I avoid offending anyone and falling into that trap whenever I'm using humor. First of all, test. And by test, I don't mean the technical test. I mean get it in front of stakeholders, get it in front of reviewers, and get feedback. Implement that feedback and keep it moving. You also want to make sure the humor is relevant to the brand. A forced joke can feel awkward and derail the message. I use humor to enhance the point, not distract from it. Avoid, appropriate. You also want to make sure the humor is appropriate. We don't have to go too far in that. Why? Because we just saw an email with inappropriate humor, in my risky opinion. You also want to avoid taboo topics. No topics like age, sex, just no, right? Maybe some of those jokes may be appropriate one-on-one, but en masse, I don't have to tell you that. Keep it positive. Light humor works. Everybody likes light humor. Dad jokes work. Also, know your audience. Again, I don't have to explain that because I know who I'm talking to. Everyone in here understands the importance of knowing your audience, whether you use personas or whether you're using any other type of method of understanding your audience. But above all, protect the brand. I've been at Fidelity 2 years, and I love working at Fidelity. It affords me the ability to take care of my family. I don't want to jeopardize that by doing something that I may think is funny that others may think are inappropriate. All right, y'all, so we've built up to this point. This is my favorite part of this. Now we're going to talk about how to use humor in B2B, B2C, B2B2C emails, all right? These are a few tactics I have used. Some of them I have not used, but let's get started. That's my boy right there. He's hilarious. First thing, wordplay and puns. So you don't have to be necessarily funny to tell a joke. You just need wit and the element of surprise. Wordplay and puns do this perfectly. I like to use wordplay and puns in my subject lines or to showcase my products and to immediately capture my viewers' attention. Let's take a look at somebody who did this right. No offense, American, but JetBlue. JetBlue they didn't kill it, but they killed it with this email. As you can see, they played on Amsterdam and the dam. And then it's just engaging. It's another way to engage audiences and stand out. Another tactic are relatable situations. So everybody wants to be understood. And I find it an effective way, I find it effective to use humor and wit to demonstrate my understanding of your problem, right? Instead of going straight for it, sometimes using relatable humor can just stand out in somebody's mind. Whenever I get those emails that use that relatable humor, I save them, and even if I don't buy, I respond and let them know I appreciate the effort. So let's take a look at an example of relatable humor. The hair, beauty, and skincare brand, and this is actually an email, this is not social content, but Functional Beauty did this, right? And as you can see, you have a really bad hair day cat. And the message is 20 seconds of me putting on a sweater. And then the payoff, they talk about their product. So they've immediately related to the recipient, and now they're paying it off with how their product can solve. You can take a picture, go ahead, I got you. You got it? Awesome. All right, here's one I like, self-deprecation. Now, for more context, in my role, a lot of the emails I craft I don't have a huge audience often. I'm often sending to 20 or 30 advisors, and it's coming from someone at Fidelity, someone in sales, so we're trying to build a relationship. Self-deprecation. There is a certain level of gravitas or self-confidence when you can effectively deprecate yourself. When it comes to email marketing, I always say, though, be careful about going overboard, because there is a very thin line between self-deprecation and self-defecation. So you want to stay on the right side, right? The trick is to use the humor in a way that's relatable and that the customer will understand. A good opportunity for self-deprecation are oops emails. Check out the t-shirt pusher. They sent the wrong code at the wrong time. Their response was, looks like Pete, our office monkey, clicked the wrong button. Ha ha ha, right? Just a lighthearted joke. Next up, we can move into funny subject lines. These are very important. Why? Because if you get this wrong, you get the subject line wrong, you don't have to worry about really metrics or anything else, because nobody's going to read it. So the trick is to craft a funny or witty subject line that immediately captures the reader's attention. And these stand out excellently. Ulta Beauty, I love this. This email is a cart abandonment email. And you can see in the subject line, they say, we have to admit you've got really great taste. That's not that funny. But when I opened the email and look at it, it was like, hey, we noticed you noticing us. I think that's just brilliant, lighthearted humor that adds a bit of personality to the brand and works. Another underutilized tool are smart calls to action. As an email marketer, I've done a ton of copywriting. And it's so easy at the end of the email to hit sign up now, shop now, buy this, learn more, go here, stop. Right? There's nothing easier than doing that. While this may be acceptable and really common, a humorous call to action can be the perfect way to infuse personality. Because you have only a limited amount of space in the CTA section, you don't necessarily have to be funny, like ha-ha funny. All you need to do is be humorous enough to elicit a smile, a smirk, or reflective thought, because smiling, reflective thinking, and engaged consumers are much more likely to click that button than someone who just reads, sign up. A good example of this is the toilet paper manufacturer who gives a crap. I realized this morning, I talk about crap a bit in here. Nonetheless, who gives a crap? They're notorious. They do it all the time for their lighthearted and funny emails. The subject line is, it's pronounced crapcha. And then they put a little picture of the crapcha thing, and they just play on it. But then they pay the email, well, don't pay it off, but they include a CTA that says this button right here. I don't know. Those little bitty things may not be a big lift, but they make a huge difference when you go back and look at the entire campaign. All right. Keep it moving. All right, y'all. This is one of my favorite parts of this. And to help me really tell this story, I brought a special friend along. Where's she at? She's not here yet. There she is. That's my mama, y'all. Welcome. That's my mama. Her name's Martha. I love my mama. I'm not a mama's boy, but I'm sort of a mama's boy. My mom raised my brother and me in Marianna, Florida, small town, on her own after my parents got divorced. So I have so much respect for this woman. We were relatively isolated from the large cities of Tallahassee, Florida, and Dothan, Alabama, right? If you know this area, those are like small cities, relatively speaking. And so my mom's never really been that tech savvy, ever. And I told her years ago, Mama, you got to get on board with this stuff because this is the way it's going to be. But she emails me, calls me all the time about simple stuff. While she can shoot a rattlesnake at full gallop, which she can do, she can tell you all about the different varieties of sweet potatoes and talk you to sleep about gardening. My mom oftentimes struggled to understand when the speakerphone is on. So she's done her absolute best to keep up, but technology just hasn't been a part of her life. I share this to highlight my sheer amazement, excitement, and horror when my mama texts me an emoji. Like, what the heck? This just proves that emojis have moved from this fringe form of communication into the mainstream. And I ask you, if you're not using emojis in your emails and your subject lines, why not? In either case, emojis are the perfect way to dip your toe into humorous elements in your emails. And they're relatively low risk. But emojis are much more than a low risk good time. They work. According to Experian, 56% of brands that use emojis in subject lines see an increase in open rates. That's powerful. Segmentation, this is an interesting one because everybody here are like really good segmenters, really into segmentation and personalization, so we'll see what happens here. All right, the other day I was working on a new product at Fidelity, and I used the term out of the box. Never thought twice about it. Most of my colleagues understood, but there's this gentleman who was in compliance. Of course he's in compliance. And a little bit about this guy, he worked for Fidelity for 40 years. He retired, and now he's a consultant. Let's call him Bert. So when I used the term out of the box, Bert was like, wait a minute, I have a totally different understanding of that. And it blew my mind because I never considered there could be another meaning. I share this to say that humor is exactly the same. Humor can mean different things to different segments. For example, 25-somethings may not get Golden Girls references. Everybody likes Golden Girls, right? They're awesome. They may not get them. On the other hand, if I get an email with Blanche or Golden Girl in the email, I'm probably going to pay attention and buy whatever you're selling because I love them. Listen, my mama watched Golden Girls, my grandma watched Golden Girls, my auntie watched Golden Girls, and me and my wife watch Golden Girls. They're awesome. So because of that, does that mean I should not include Golden Girl references in emails if I have the opportunity? Let Blanche tell it. She says, that was a rhetorical question. Absolutely not. Instead, you have to segment your audience for the humor, right? Many ways to do this. You can do age, gender, location. How many other ways you can cut the data that you have, it can be a powerful way to segment. All right. Until now, we've largely focused on the words on the screen. But designs can be funny too. So, I want to talk about a couple of design elements that we can use, that I use, one of them I haven't used yet, but we can use to help make our emails more funny. I don't know if anybody's watched Bob Ross lately. This guy is awesome. Like, he was so boring growing up, but now he is gold. All right, nonetheless, the human brain processes pictures 60,000 times faster than they do text and words alone. So the first one I want to talk to y'all about is graphics interchange format. Whether you call it a GIF or a GIF, graphics interchange formats can be absolutely hilarious. And they can break through a noisy inbox better than the Kool-Aid Man. Where's he at? There he goes, the Kool-Aid Man. Nonetheless, fortunately, my mom has not sent me a GIF yet, which is great. But GIFs are simply a part of how we communicate, whether it's text message, WhatsApp, Facebook. Instagram, whatever. GIFs are extremely powerful at communicating emotions, much better than words. As you see, 69% of Americans use them because of that very reason. Simply put, we are visual creatures. We identify with the picture. People love GIFs because of that. You're probably asking me, though, you're probably thinking, like, yeah, that sounds nice, sounds real good. But do GIFs really work? Yes, they absolutely work. When Dell, the computer manufacturer, implemented their very first GIF-centric campaign, they saw 42% increase in click-through rates. They saw 103% increase in conversion rates. And they saw 109% increase in revenue. Now, for more context, the GIF they used was definitely up there, like it was one of a XP computer flipping. But in either case, the visual of that helped inspire these awesome metrics. So if you haven't already, it may be time to take the GIF challenge. Memes. All right, in the age of video, there is something special and remarkable about a meme. It's really simple. It's just words and a picture. Nothing amazing about it. But memes account for some of the most viral content on the web. I made this. So everybody's seen this, right? Yeah, don't be that guy. That's the point. According to a study published in Psychology and Marketing, memes are topical, highly relatable, and well received by target groups, which can help increase overall brand engagement and recall. I'm not making this stuff up. I just make it look good. Memes. But memes can also help on an emotional level. For starters, they can give your recipient a case of the feels. Memes get folks emotional. Whether it's a good chuckle, been there, done that, memes can help you bond with the buyer. LOLs equal loyalty. Memes are jokes, but it does not make your brand one. It just makes you thoughtful and creative. And show you get it. Back to what I said earlier, everyone wants to be understood. Memes are an excellent opportunity to show your recipient that you get their problem, whether it's finding affordable airline flights, whether it's finding childcare. Memes can show you get it. All right, so here are a few tips I use for using GIFs and memes. One, ensure it shows up, right? What's the point of including it if it doesn't show up? So test, of course, using the different tools to test. Don't go too hard. Just keep it simple. You don't have to go overboard with the memes. They work, but in moderation. Remember the customer and the brand. Anytime any email goes out, especially with humor, you want to always keep the brand and the customer at the top of mind. Keep it short and keep it simple. 2 seconds, 3 seconds max. Anything more than that on the GIF, it will probably be too large or it won't show up. And make a point. When using GIFs, memes, or any other humorous element, the point is not the humor. The point is the message. The humor just makes it go down a little bit easier. All right. So today, email marketing remains one of the most successful and cost-effective ways to reach customers. And the great news is, customers are reacting to your emails. The bad news is that 94% of customers are taking one of these actions. They are automatically deleting them. I do that. They're unsubscribing. They're sending to junk or spam. They're becoming less willing to buy your products. They visit the website less frequently, or they never visit again. While many things are out of your control, leveraging humor can help you stay on the right side of these metrics. And I often get like, Elliott, that sounds nice. All of this stuff that you're saying, it sounds good, and it does, right? But does humor really work? Think about it on a personal level. Would you be more or less likely to do business with someone that you actually liked? What if that person made you laugh? Would you be more or less likely to call the salesperson back if you actually enjoyed the dialogue? Y'all, that's the power of humor. That's the power of more emotional elements. Humor and humanity, they go hand in hand. Humor is in humanity. So the next time you're crafting an email campaign, take a second and find out, ask ChatGPT or any other tool, how you can maybe jazz it up a bit to stand out and get better engagement. And I think that's it, y'all. Thanks.
Elliott, thank you so much. You have made me do two things. One, question every joke I have ever told on stage. And two, I am never wearing black again. So thank you for both of those things. You have shooken my personality to the core. We have time for a few questions before we head into roundtables.
My feelings are not hurt if nobody asks questions, I promise.
Danny from the Thunder, how did you go about convincing C-level suite and VP level to let you do any of this?
Yep, absolutely perfect. Now, full transparency, I'm not saying in B2B emails at Fidelity we send GIFs. That's not happening right now, right? But the metrics don't lie. Using data and metrics. One of the best places to start are emojis. I'll never forget, I was at Voya, and there was this lady who was really tough, and she came from the brand PR side, which I don't know if any PR people here, but PR people, in my opinion, oftentimes have the humor of a flea. So she was very, very rigid and strict. She wanted analytical. She wanted like the benefit, which the benefits are great. They sell. But I showed her these metrics on GIFs and open rates, and she couldn't argue with that. So it's a great start. Dip your toe in and take a next step. And that's the process I find.
How do you work for people that have no sense of humor?
Again, appealing to the analytical side, because the numbers don't lie. I follow this guy named Jay Schwedelson, my buddy. He owns subjectline.com, and he publishes regular metrics on open rates, shows the impact of using certain emojis. Like during football time, using the football emojis, it causes open rates to spike. So just sticking to the metrics and making it an analytical argument versus like trying to let somebody ruin their brand. That's all.
Okay. I think that's all. Rebecca, we will follow up with you afterwards.
All right.
But yeah.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, guys.